Thank you so much for joining us today. We have some esteemed panelists who are going to share just a little piece of their journey with us. And, as this month we celebrate Black History Month, we thought it was only right to go and gather some of the best and brightest when it comes to content creation, education, direction, screenwriting. We have a lot of different talents with us in the room today. So to get started, I'll go ahead and introduce myself and then pass it on to the amazing panelists. My name is David Osei. I'm the Director of Client Development in Product Placement here at BENlabs, where we connect brands to consumers through product placement. When you see amazing stuff like the Dr. Pepper and Forrest Gump, when you see the, GM switch from Ford and Transformers, that's us. My homie Bumblebee still at the warehouse right now. So if you got any questions about that, come talk to your boy. But as we get started, I just want to give an opportunity for each of these people to introduce themselves. I've met all of them through different walks of life, different career paths, and they've all inspired me in a different way. And today we're going to be talking about culture and content creation. I just want to rip the Band-Aid off and be honest. There is no piece of pop culture, music, or culture as a whole that has not been impacted by Black people or a member of the African diaspora. And so in the day and age when we see so much that can gain influence from, whether it's fashion, music, hair, food, and sometimes straight up borrow, you know what I mean? This is a time where I feel, obviously we all know it's tough to, one, chase authenticity or know what that means for you in a world where those lines can be so blurred. So to start off, if everybody wants to just introduce themselves, let everybody know where you're from, what you do, and anything along those lines, feel free to jump in. Let's go ahead and start with Morgan. You want to jump in?
Hello, how's it going? My name is Morgan L. Chancellor. I am an actor, cinematographer living in LA. I've been doing this for since I've been about 12, 13 years old, but I've been actually putting my feet to the ground for the past 6 years.
Yeah, and I want to give him a little bit more flowers than that. Morgan is fairly modest himself. As an actor, he's done everything from like national commercials. He also has done a lot of background video work for the Drew League, different initiatives and family events around LA. And even caught Meg Thee Stallion on his camera one time. They're still trying to get in his. They still trying to get in his DMs about that. Everybody, will you shoot? Oh, okay, Morgan. I knew you could do it. So thank you, man. Thank you for sharing.
I appreciate it.
Joyce, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Joyce, and I am a filmmaker, creator, idealizer, bad bitch, just a multi-hyphenate of everything. I traditionally went to film school, but at my old job, where I used to work in content creation, I just kind of blew up being in front of the camera. So, yeah.
That's very true.
That's me.
Joyce is one of the most successful creators at BuzzFeed and also just on the side of what she does as a personal talent. But, while I worked at BuzzFeed and, tried to do a couple of talent things, some project management stuff, she was always friendly, welcoming. And, especially in this day and age, it's not too often you see people who have reached success and still kind of, connect with communities like that. So just wanted to say thank you for your time as well. And Andrew, my boy, let's go ahead and let the people know who you are, what you do, where you're from, man.
What up? My name is Andrew Saint-Just. I'm originally from Jersey, out here in LA now. I am a screenwriter. I got placed as quarterfinalist twice last year. God is good. I am a producer. I've done music videos. I've done brands. I worked with Janae Aiko, T Grizzly, NBCU, Peacock, The Griot, nonprofits, brands. If you got it, if you want it, I got you. I am blessed to be here alongside my awesome panelists, man. Any way I can help to the culture, I'm always here. And I was an engineer turned producer, so I'm one of those people that, man, if you think it, you could be it. So just keep going, keep striving. Happy to be here.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you. Andrew is a busy man who is one of the few people I know who can take on a multitude of projects and not sacrifice quality. When we were at BuzzFeed, we'd shoot 2-3 videos a week together. He'd fly to go get some time in with his daughter, be back like, I got another idea. Let's shoot this tomorrow. You know what I mean? So he's someone you could definitely grab inspiration from if you have any pursuits. And I don't even want to say the best for last. I feel like everybody here is such a unique talent. Tunji Adebayo, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, letting the people know about you, where you're from, what you do, and all that good stuff.
I am Tunji Adebayo. I'm the most blessed man alive. Not because I'm so dope, because everybody in my life. I was having this conversation the other week. I'm not a self-made man. I'm community built. Right? I was driving down the street, and that's how I met David, because making sci-fi fraternity incorporated. Don't get us started. And I was in LA, and I was a teacher for 7 years. I've seen the brothers so long in that community. And I saw Dave, and I literally jumped out the car and started running, not in park. So I had to run back to the car and jump back in. But that's just that level of excitement. My journey was to initially I wanted to be a speaker, and I said, okay, while blessing the community. So I was a teacher. I did that for 7 years, and I thought speaking was my dream was to create a holistic health company to help people be the healthiest version of themselves. So my social media piece, my touch at creating content came from my journey to become as a model. So how can I tell you how to do it if I haven't done it for myself? So I'm an entrepreneur, and I create systems, I create programs. I do 100 million Black men become the healthiest version of themselves to just at least chase it, because we create our own self-sustaining and thriving communities. So I'm on social media sharing my journey to chase in an attempt to build a community of other Black men that are organically chasing flow state as well.
Thank you, Tunji. And he wasn't exaggerating about how we met at all. I was at USC for, I think, a step show, and Tunji had just moved here and noticed all of us in our fraternity letters, like, oh, okay, there's my brothers. And this guy jumps out the car on the middle of campus. There's a poor young woman who was behind him in the parking line as his car starts to roll back slowly. And she just started screaming, wondering if he would make it back. So after he dapped us up, he went and jumped in the car, thankfully. And we ended up being roommates, a whole bunch of stuff. We've just been trying to change lives together since then, man. But again, thank you, everyone. I wanted to give you a chance to really, kind of give anyone viewing more of an insight to you and just kind of all of the different unique viewpoints that we have here. So as we jump into the questions, I want to start it off light. In an age of virality, right? However you want to look at that or decide, what that means. As a content creator, I just want to ask for anyone who wants to jump in, how do you maintain authenticity in what you create or projects that you take on? You know what I mean? I don't think we have anyone here who's chasing a hit in any form or shape, right? But just honestly, how are you making sure that what you're doing is authentic to you, your story, your journey, wherever you may be right now? Just touch on anything there if you could.
I want to jump in because I want to start by giving somebody their flowers. Because I remember when I started at my last company, I met Joyce, and Joyce completely changed how I approached content creation. Because I was new to LA. I'm at this company. I got to be on. I want to be that guy, and I want people to like me, and I want to.
Right.
And I just remember sitting in the meeting, and she was like, "I don't want to do that. That's stupid. I don't care for none of that. You a Virgo. You weird." And it was just I was looking around like, no. I was like, she could say that? We in a meeting, and I was just so surprised. But just being authentically you is the first way to make authentic content. And that gets bypassed a lot of times. Everybody wants to get out there and turn on. And it's like, we can see you when you turn on. We can feel that. That's felt. And so I think that's the first thing is being you. And then everything else kind of like the dominoes fall as they should, so.
That's really important. Go ahead, Joyce.
Well, now I want to talk my shit. Andrew is amazing. He is a Virgo man, which is triggering for me in my dating life. But I will say that Andrew's probably one of the best producers, best writers, best creators I've ever met. And for me, when it comes to authenticity and content, it's who are you going to be? Unfortunately, I'm not a girl that could pretend like she likes kombucha just because I'm getting a check. That's just, my Haitian upbringing. You know what I'm saying? Being Haitian really pushes you to be your most authentic self, because when you bullshitting, you get your ass beat. Respectfully, everyone here at BENlabs, love y'all. But it's true. If I was faking it, or one time I went emo and my mom gave me an exorcism, it's like I'm only allowed to be myself. And I think when it comes to going viral, when it comes to people knowing your name, it's like, if you're not you, then it's just fake. It's just
that's really true. That's really true. And it's hard. I feel like it can be hard to figure out who and what makes you as well. You know what I mean? In the day and age, we have so much information thrown at us. We're all meeting and around people from 8 corners of the world, and even for myself, I've been in LA about 10 years now. And that journey and self-expression has been something, because even at BuzzFeed, I never thought I would have a cooking show or do anything like that. You know what I mean? And it was it was at first to me like, all right, how do I sound cool? How do I sound like I know what I'm talking about? But it was me just like, hey, y'all, we're going to try to make brunch for some friends. And some kid was like, you know, I have epilepsy. I can't watch a lot of videos, a lot of stuff. And you just talking changed my life. You know what I mean? And Joyce, I don't know how many messages you've gotten. And Andrew, same thing, you know, where you really see the impact of you just being yourself and seeing what that can do for somebody is amazing. Tunji and Morgan, if you have anything to add, I want to give you a chance.
Yeah, I think you guys really said most of it, but I think the biggest part about it is actually figuring out who you are, because especially I grew up here, so growing up in LA, you get in, like you said, you get influenced by, I won't say what's cool, but what you think your peers would like. But I think the biggest problem with that is, let's just say theoretically, you do something that your peers like and it goes viral. You got to keep doing it. And then 9 times out of 10, the things that you did to do that isn't something that you ever wanted to do, you know? So I think the biggest touch that a lot of us forgot was actually trying to build an audience. Like, actually, instead of you trying to find people, let your people find you. And some of us, we think like, you know what, let's just go viral, it'll go crazy. I mean, that's cool, don't get me wrong, but then you don't want to be sitting there 6-7 videos down the line, you're just like, you know what, I don't even like doing this, you know? Man. So it gets to the point where it's just like, and then if you don't like doing it, then it's going to make you not like the craft anymore. And then at the end of the day, what's the point of doing it if I didn't like the craft?
That's crazy.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a crazy point.
So I think it's, you really have to figure out who you are. And then once I figured out who I was, I like, perfect example, Marshawn Lynch. I know we're all familiar with Marshawn. The reason why his content is so funny, is so X, Y, and Z, is because we know this is exactly how this man acts, you know? And the fact, and especially living in a world where everyone has, you know, their different facades and the mask that it's kind of refreshing seeing somebody like, damn, he's confident enough to be himself, you know? And I think that's the content that lives on for the world, it lives on for the rest. Because don't get me wrong, a video can go, just because it goes viral down to mean it's good. And I know I can be really critical on stuff. Don't get me wrong. Like, I see a lot of stuff that goes quote unquote viral by love. I'd be like, bro, that shit is weak. But like, you know what? I said, but then I noticed the things that are timeless are always going to be something that's special to you, something that's going to be to the point where it's just like, you know what, this is going to transcend no matter what, because it came from a genuine place.
Right.
That's true.
And no, that's real. And for me, I post every day, do a self-talk conversation, and it's that authenticity in front of the camera and risk being seen in all like who you really are, and also risk being wrong. Like, I don't have it figured out, and that way when you post, you can look back and you respect, and you'll also respect your growth. Like okay, I was real right there. And people, because you scroll through whatever you're on, you just see people that's trying to start. I figured this out. I figured this out, and you have someone here like, oh, I'm trying to figure this out. That when you talk about that community trying to find you, once you figure it out, you get authenticity. Like, nah, I think I got something here. And then those people to that kindness. And I also say, when you're looking for the best version of yourself, you'll find the value. Like, these stories interconnect. When I truly find the best, I think he said that the universal stems from the specific. He was telling Michael B. Jordan, when you're in content, you don't try and tell everybody else's story. You try and tell this person's story authentically as you, and when you do that, other people's stories get pulled out from it. I don't try and tell everybody else's story. I don't try and get you to feel it. I step up to a camera, I feel it. And if you feel it too, it's just an added bonus. Okay, that's what's up.
That's real. That's real. And I think that it perfectly will blend into my second and third question. So I'll state them now, but we can kind of go one at a time. So when we think about what we're doing right now, it's Black History Month. You have brands reach out to you, you see certain initiatives, you see certain things. As we all know, we saw a few more a couple of years ago. A lot have gone mute, a lot have started to fall to the wayside. So just like as a kind of a quick hit, and then I'll go into a little bit of a deeper question. So quick hit, how do you think brands can better educate themselves or partner with you as a Black creator? Like, Obviously, other than the obvious, right? Like, don't just talk to me for February. And for that, don't talk to me 2 weeks before and try to figure out how I can do something amazing for you. But whether it's a Black-owned brand or a large-scale brand, or a person of color who's working in one of these brands, how can brands and people better work with you? Feel free to add an experience. You don't got to say any names or something, but I would just love to, from people who work in such different fields, from cinematography to screenwriting to content creating and influencing and education. Could you please just touch on that a little bit? How do you think brands can better educate themselves and work with Black creators?
I'll take this one. So for me, I would say pay us the way you would pay white creators. There is a huge, huge, huge market of pay difference between white creators and Black creators. It gets to a point where I look at brand deals with my friends. They'll get $20K for something that a brand will ask me $2K for. And it really shows the kind of difference of the market, because we are the culture, but because a lot of Black influencers are uneducated, or a lot of Black influencers, we take the brand deal, we make the best content, we make it like viral, and then a white creator recreates it for $20K. So I would say pay equally, and make sure you're paying equally to everyone.
I think that's a simple and effective way that people can do that, especially with the transparency we're starting to see in some ways. Like, in California, you got to list the job salary, and I'm even seeing certain ranges like, we'll pay 60 to 150. And I'm like, all right, now that's a hell of a range. But I think that's something that people should be aware of. Like, I would like it to be for a genuine reason, but even if it's just so you don't get caught, pay people the same. Because like you said, Joyce, we're all sharing these contracts, we're all sharing these ideas, and there's not to make it sound so cryptic, but there's nowhere you can hide, you know what I mean? And these conversations are being had. So I think that's something that's definitely important. Thank you very much for that. Andrew?
Going to that point, David, about there's nothing you can hide. My frustration, you nailed it on the head. When people start talking about Black people January 15th to about March 2nd, and then after that, they don't talk about Black people no more for the entire year. And it's one of those things, if you can have a Black icon for 28 days, but then things in the culture happen and you're silent, Black people exist outside of February. So the same people that came in February because you advertised to them, something happens in July, January, March, September, you don't acknowledge that. Those people now leave. Like they're not going to go anywhere. Like, you can't hide. And it's so frustrating to see, Joe's hardware store that is 100% different 10 months out of the year, and then now February they're super woke, and then they swing back in the opposite direction come another month. Like, again, you can't hide. So I would rather a company not say anything and be authentically them, just like we're saying before, than to try to catch a trend and, okay, these are really cool right now, let me be hot and talk to them. That never works. And we can tell. And I also have to kind of be honest about this. We're in a marketplace that's so competitive. There are people who would take that job, even though it's not the job they should take. And you know what I mean? I understand you got to get your coin, you got to do what you got to do, but there are ways you approach it. And I just feel like brands could just be authentic. If it is a room full of people that aren't Black, and this is your Black history panel, maybe y'all should add somebody into the panel. Maybe y'all should, and it's not our job, it shouldn't be the desk person, the male clerk who's now sitting in the boardroom because y'all need a Black face in the idea. Like, there's some things that should be thought about, structurally, institutionally, before we then say, okay, it's February, what Black person can we reach out to?
And again, I'll take it to this somewhat serious note, and then we'll bounce up and just make it fun again. But I want to say, like, just for people who are watching, these are conversations we've all had since we were kids, or things we have, especially over the past several years, have thought about. But I liken it to, being that I've had an experience living in the South. I grew up in Washington State, and, I've spent some time on the East Coast, lived in New York for a little bit. When we compare among ourselves, y'all can nod or shake your head if I'm crazy. But when we compare, like, for example, prejudice or racism in the South, where you're not supposed to go. Okay. Where you're supposed to be at, when it's uncomfortable, when you should probably find somewhere else to go. On the West Coast, you might have someone smile in your face all day, every day, and find out later that they might want to kill you. And I mean, from my personal experience, when we moved to Washington State, if you're an adult and you're over the age of 20, two people will assume that you're dating or you're together. My mother's coworker came to bring some food for a barbecue, and as my dad helped her, some guys circled in a truck and thought they were together. They shot at our house. Very simple. I grew up around the Klan, even in Washington. So I say that to say this. When we're talking about the fact that we see people produce and put forth so much effort and so much, not only this month on their leaderboard as far as streaming TV, and then it's nowhere to be found, it makes us think and understand a lot more deeper than you might believe. So kind of to Andrew's point, just to raise that, if it's something you're serious about, take the time and effort, talk to the people who are around you, or outsource others that you may need knowledge from. That doesn't always mean an DNI specialist. It might mean that you do need one. But also, one thing that I want to just put forth is make sure that these changes are happening from the ground level to the C-suite. Because if your leadership is not going to think about this, it won't make a difference. And trust me, people know and they can tell. Now, to kind of transition and make it maybe not more fun, but just something that I know has to also be on our minds. So with that question, whether it's a specific Black initiative that someone is looking for, or, you know, a cultural touch point, or it's something out of the blue, do you ever feel in content creation that you have to hold back or only put out so much in an effort to preserve the culture, so to speak? Or do you feel like it's even possible at this point? You know, and not even to do the whole like, oh, we see TikTok trends by Black people who are copied and then, you know, made famous, or it's a hairstyle that Kim Kardashian can put on, and it's like, oh, look at this new style, and you're like, my auntie and them been doing their hair like that for 30 years, and you're kind of confused. So do you feel that you have to preserve the culture in any way? How do you navigate that thought, or what does that feel like? You know, even just there, what does that feel like to sometimes kind of see things get taken, reused, misused, and things like that?
I'll jump on it. I feel like at first it can be frustrating. You can sit there and be like, bro, like you literally just copied and pasted everything that I did. But then a part of me kicks in and it's just like, you know what? The fact that you went through it, you went out your way to copy me, that lets me know that I got something going. But what's the funny part about it? No matter how many times you copy me, you cannot replicate it. Period. So the moment that I feel like, you know what, this is whack, I'm not doing it anymore, you can definitely, you'll always be able to see the shift in the change. I think that's the biggest part about being original in what you do. Because at the end of the day, if it's something good, I mean, this is how I see it. If it's good, people are going to copy it. Period. Right. And I feel as if like, if once but what happens is that because we get copied so much, it don't get the credit nor get the pay to it. We all start the crab mentality. You're like, you know what? Let me hold this because I already know I'm not gonna get fair market price for it. When in actuality, I don't feel like there's no collaborative way of doing that. I think no one should really be tripping too much if you're being copied or if your ideas are being stolen. Because the way that I see it is that that's just one idea they have. And the part is like you can't do nothing else with it. You know what I'm saying? It's like still an iPhone back in the day. You got the phone, but you can't make it work. You know, so it's just like no matter what, and you have no idea what else I have planned. So like even for me, it'll be times where I'll do a certain type of like camera movement. Oh, not even camera. I take this back. I'll do a certain type of content, and I'll look through the likes, and the same people I like, and I'll look 2 weeks later. I'm like, when you start doing that? And I look and I'm like, haha, I got something for it, you know? So like, I don't even take offense to it anymore. I just look at it, okay, cool. At least I know that it's going to actually garner some sort of attention.
Yeah, that's a powerful agency to take with it too. Because again, thinking about your circle of influence, what you can control and what you can't. We'll drive ourselves crazy if we keep trying to see, I mean, since the days of Elvis, who's going to be next to pick up a trend or run with it? You know what I'm saying? And so that's something that I want to just repeat and kind of, you know, put a pin in. Like, one, deciding and understanding that, you know, imitation highest form of flattery, understanding that it's going to happen anyway, but also just remembering that can't nobody quite do it like we can, you know what I mean, with any of those. So if anybody else has something to touch on there, please feel free to jump.
One, I just want to speak to the frustration. And I'll just talk about this about gritty, right? They've been doing the gritty since like LSU won a championship like what, 2 years ago. People all over the world like it, and part of it is it's okay, but it's so funny like by the time it hits like the dab, and like we're doing the dab in Atlanta, like that's Cam Newton from Atlanta. So by the time that dance up, and I think the part that's really only irritating is this speaks to the power dynamics where you're doing something you love, and then you see somebody else not only do it wrong, but they get paid like late night TV, like. And you like, oh my God,
like this, like,
oh, for real.
Yeah. So
they got no swag.
I speak to what Morgan was saying. It's my activity. The more you use, the more you get. So it's just looking at it like, okay, boom, checking it out, and then being like systematic and being practical. When you do feel well, no, this is one of them ones. You kind of develop that skill set, and you know. Then it's branding, it's copy. When you figure out, okay, I'm in this pocket and I have something, because you have to kind of have that force down to the point of the practicality piece. When I figured out, okay, This is my intellectual property. This is something you can build a brand and a family and like everything off of. Okay, then I can do it in a way where it's shared. Then I can license it. Then I can do all these different things. Grow and cook. You drive yourself crazy trying to say, oh, I did this format. You did. But the social networks are literally built to copy, for people to copy. That's what community is for originally. We just live in a capitalistic society that it's supposed to keep this for myself. When really community is built by sharing.
Yeah. Andrew, you have a point?
I want to jump on that community point because I think that's the secret sauce that a lot of people miss. My sister told me a story about one of her friends who's a nurse, and there was a Black woman who was in a hospital, and she just got into like a car accident or something. And in the hospital, she was doing like this. And the nurse wrote up a psych eval for her. She's like, I think that she might have brain injuries because she's going crazy. And the attending nurse was like, no, she just got cornrows and she don't want to mess up her cornrows. Exactly. So that same thing, Kim Kardashian could have straight backs, and then a bunch of people could get straight backs, and then they'll see this and not know what that means. And I think that's how you can differentiate these things. It's not about them stealing the thing, because you can steal the thing, but the community, the information behind it that you don't know because you're not a part of the community. And I just like Sunji said, Morgan said it early, it's the community that's the secret sauce in all of this.
That's important. Even when we look at medicine, I think there was a recent thing I saw, a man who tried to create an illustration book that explained like whether it was pain levels, medicine levels, reading levels within African Americans, because obviously if that's not something you're thinking about, the baseline is different. But and I see in the comments people who are laughing and crying because they know exactly what this means. And there's some people watching like, wait, what? I don't get it. And that's just fine. You know what I mean? Like, for example, we're trying to start this Black ERG here. And we now, I've seen also traction for a women's ERG. I support that wholeheartedly. And I'm going to support it by not asking any questions and not trying to put in any input. Sometimes the best way to support something, even within our own, because here, Tunji, I know you're from Nigeria. I know that Morgan and Joyce are Haitian. Andrew, you also have a different background. Like all of these things, if I want to do something Haitian, I'm not going to go try to do it. I'm going to call Morgan. If I want some Nigerian expertise, I'm going to call Tunji. And both of them might decide that they don't have the best insight. So I think
let me call my mama. She'll know.
People are afraid to do this. They don't want to do it. And there's always a race to figure out how to cut the product cheaper. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes, it isn't even always a $ thing that's going to be impacted. But just again, like we talked about, true authenticity and just staying in your lane. One of the best things you can do is just stay in your lane. You know what I mean?
Andrew said something, and I think it's the culture. It's something that I remember Denzel Washington said something when he said that the reason why they hired a Black director was because not because that the Black director would shoot it better than the white counterpart, is that the Black director actually knows the culture. Like he knows what hair smells like being pressed Sunday morning. And that's facts. Like the moment he said it, he said, he know, like we all know what blue magic smells like, but yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, those are things that can't be taught in a director school. You know what I'm saying? Those aren't things that can be taught if you just came to LA. Like that's something that you either know it or you don't. So I think the biggest thing about when you replicate the culture, and for us, it's more offensive, but it's kind of comical because it's just like, look at them. Like, you don't know what he's talking about. And I think one thing that I kind of like now is that, because since with this new age, everyone has burner pages, everybody has X, Y, and Z. I bring this up to say is that there's a lot more accountability now. Don't let one of these burner pages find out that you stole something from someone else, because I've seen it 1,001 times, whether it be a big brand or little brand. Once people start seeing the similarities, they be like, wait, hold on, Tunji been doing this since. You know what I'm saying? And like, these time stamps at the bottom of these posts, you can't lie. I can't, no matter how much IT you know. But I'm just saying, it's just like, it's a culture. And it gets to the point where it's like, if it's in you, you don't have to worry about it being replicated, because the replication will never be the same.
That's a fact.
Oh, and just to add a point, because Joyce really broke it down, culture is in the diaspora, right? When Joyce was like, I tried to be emo when my mom did an exercise. David's Ghanaian. Knows that would feel like.
I wanted to read Harry Potter and he wanted to do exorcism because you must read that book.
Bro, I finally got back into reading. I was like, witchcraft. Through all my books, I was like, bro, you know what?
They fly on brooms.
On broom? Magic? Oh man.
So West African, South African, you grow up in the black church, like black African American, right? You know what that feels like to be like, oh, witchcraft, oh, emo. No, we don't do that. Like that balance of talking about depression. Like, you better go depress them dishes. Like, you just say that. I know exactly what you mean. Is that connection of the culture? That's your burner page. You can't do that through there. You can't copy that. Yeah, it's just juice.
Hey, one last one.
Yeah, go ahead.
The age old. I had to walk 9 miles to school in 5 times.
Now listen, but see, and that's
uphill both ways. Uphill both ways.
some people don't understand that. Like, my dad legitimately walked 8 miles to school in Ghana. He's from a village. So what complaint am I coming up with? And that's what's also been such an interesting part of growth, to realize where you might not have had perfect knowledge or wisdom or understanding. You know, because I never thought I would go to therapy. I never thought I would believe in it, because my dad honestly did not have the option. You know what I'm saying? But the same isn't true. So I think that's another thing, having the duality to understand, where to filter certain things, where to take in new information, and understanding that while something can be a part of your identity, it doesn't have to define you, because the more something is a part of your identity, good or bad, the more it's going to limit you from expanding that world, expanding that knowledge. You know what I'm saying? And I think that kind of goes perfectly into my next question. I wanted to ask you all, so like, I've seen it myself for each of you and know there has to be more behind this. What is one of, or some exciting ways, whatever, what's the most exciting way that you've seen your influence have effect on your audience? You know what I mean? Like, how has it motivated you, changed the way you approach what you do? Because I only did like 3-5 videos at BuzzFeed and had a crazy reaction. So it's like, Tunji, I know that you literally post a video every day that's either a piece of knowledge or wisdom you've read. There's the, Spit Something Saturdays, where you have somebody just freestyle, laugh, rap, do poetry, whatever they want to do. Morgan, I can barely find a picture of you on your page now because you have finished and completed so many projects. And I mean that in the best way. I mean, even back to the days where me and you was extra on HBO Ballers. That was the highest dream. And now you fixing to direct HBO Ballers. You know what I'm saying? So like, when you got to a point, whether small or large, really realizing the influence that you had, or, seeing the effect on your audience, or even the audience you never thought about, what effect did that have on you? How does it have you look at your work and what you do, if in any way different from then on?
For me, it's like,
I'll jump in.
I think go ahead.
I'll say for me, the largest following I have was on TikTok. And I went to that place because I was in like emotionally, I was in a dark place, and the self-talks helped me. And I wanted to develop the pain. My thing is like, what becomes of your greatest failure? Can it make you a better man than you ever? So I went to TikTok and I go on these journeys. I find quotes, I find African proverbs, and I'm just going through me up throughout the day. And my mentality is, this is blessing me. If you eat off of it good, that's every day I need to feel something. And really the impact when I felt it most wasn't like that happens, but someday I'll be in the car recording and it doesn't feel right. So I record the video again. And then it doesn't feel right again. Like 2 hours in the car, and then it finally felt right. Like the wording was uploaded and I moved on. The video didn't get thousands of views, right? It got like 200. But then there was like 10 comments, and a mother said like, God, and this helped me. Like, thank you. Alignment. What's so trippy is today is the same quote that I found out soon. What a caterpillar calls the end, the rest of the world calls a butterfly. I was just breaking that down. Like a caterpillar calls this death, the rest of the world, right? It's one of those, breaking it down like yo, the world, what you think is the end of the world is a new beginning, no matter how dark. Myself, right? And it just blew me away, because it was a beautiful, not her. And I just saw the impact of taking care of yourself and sharing it with the community. Yo, I have a responsibility to be authentic. I have a responsibility to come here and take care of myself. Look what it does on accident. So that's the impact to me. It's always that power for that one person is me.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I think that's what's so amazing when you realize, like, Tunji knows, I mean, because we live together, Morgan knows too, I'm a like serial hobbyist. I got to find something else to do. The pandemic started, I got my real estate license. Then I started taking bike rides around the city. Started doing jujitsu. I just started DJing 8 months ago because it's fun. And there was someone who I had a gig for, and she was telling me like, oh, I just want to have a Halloween party. I'm like, okay, cool. As I get there, she was like, you know, that was the best time I've had. I've been going through chemo for the past 8 months, and I got to dance with my mom again. And in my head, I'm like, well, take my money, take it back then, you know, because all BS aside, like, just to be able to touch and to realize, like you said, Tunji, because that wasn't your intention. It wasn't, how can I get the deepest response? How can I touch somebody? But when you realize that being yourself and truly doing something that you just found joy in, especially in the, not to say sloppy, but like not in the most perfect way, when you're just putting out authentically who you are and seeing how much that can heal somebody, that's powerful, man. That's powerful.
Yeah.
Please. Anybody else who wants to touch on any moment where you've kind of seen just how your influence affected an audience, friend, family member, what have you, and how that might have, changed your outlook?
I definitely want to say something. I feel like for me, I really don't take myself seriously. I actually think I'm a very boring person, watches anime all day and takes care of her dog. But I will say that, you know, the more that you're on the internet, I realized I meant something to people when I would get messages about random things, right? I've always had a dark neck, and a girl was like, you have a dark neck like me. And I was like, lit. Or it's like, people like, you know, it'd be like, oh my gosh, like your eyebrows are like my eyebrows. And I'm like, litty, brown titty girl. Like, at first I was just like, because I don't take myself so seriously, I didn't understand what it means. What my little sister told me once is that, was there a girl like you growing up? And I have to say, there was no one like me. You know, Jazz didn't come into the scene until I was in college. So it's like, I understand that my position as a Black woman, as a dark-skinned woman, as a Haitian woman, to really just authentically be myself. And I understood that, like, a lot of people don't know how bad it is for our young Black girls, how, especially dark-skinned Black girls, it is very bad. And as long as I could be a positive influence on their life, I'll keep doing it. Because, you know, a part of me wants to move to France and be a bartender, but I got to do it for them. So, you know.
Thank you for sharing. That's real. Morgan, you had some?
Yeah, for me it was. It's a twofold type of thing. I don't like, for me, like, especially like my magnetic circle of people that I'm around. You can only tell them so many times, like, hey, bro, I really want to make these videos. I really want to act. I really want X, Y, and Z. You know. So when it gets to the point where I don't care what no one says, when the homie tells you something, you be like, I mean, you can do it, but we'll see. You know, we'll see. So when it actually propagates to the point where it's like, look, I told you. It's more of like an example for everyone, especially in my family. Like, when I remember I went back, I was in Florida this past Christmas, and everyone was like, I saw your commercial. Oh my God, you really did it. And I was just like, and then I had a little cousin, she came up to me and was like, so how did you do it? And I'm like, I brushed them off a little. I'm like, watch out, bro. I'm trying to, you know?
Yep.
And then as I started thinking, I was like, no one told me how to, you know? So I literally sat there. I was just like, hey, you know, it was just reiterating, like, being that person that I wish someone was there for me for. And I know another moment was like, I remember I went to Washington Prep in LA, and this past homecoming, I grabbed my camera. I said, you know what? I'm gonna just go film the homecoming. Who knows? Like, no one ever filmed ours. I'm gonna film. So then come to find out, the coach ends up hitting me up and says like, hey, can you do the highlight tapes for some of the kids? I was like, bro, I'm not tripping. I'm with it. And I remember when I was there, no one did that for us.
Yeah.
The month later, 3-4 of the kids, they all got full ride scholarships.
Wow.
And I was sitting there, and I was sitting in the living room. I'm like, huh?
Homie trying to make me cry. Like, no,
seriously. I was sitting there like, huh? And then, like, I had to both of all of them. They're like, bro, thank you. I'm like, bro, chill, stop. You know, but I had to really think. I was like, wow, like, now the trajectory of their life is going to be different, you know? So then I start sitting there thinking, like, and at that same game, it was like a freshman. He was like, oh, did you used to go here? I'm like, yeah. I was like, yeah, I was in so-and-so's class. He's like, I'm in that class too. And I told her, I was just like, you can do it too. Like, you know? So it's just the fact of, like, now I get why you have to struggle through every single hoop. because maybe you have to make it easier for the next person. And especially, like, I know the biggest thing for me is, like, there's so many moments, like, through this journey where I wish I could just ask them, hey, bro, how do you do this? Or, like, how do I get over this hump? But it gets to the point where it's like, you have to go through so that you can pass that information on to someone else. So that's where I've been at with this whole situation. Like, I just be able to not only change the magnetic circle around me, but to actually think, like, wow, I might see this little boy play on the TV one day, and I'll be sitting there just like, hey, bro, you did that, you know? So, like, it's a journey for sure.
That's real. That's serious. I mean, because go ahead, please, Andrew. Please jump in.
No, my bad. Can I go the opposite way, right? So, me, Joyce, and Morgan did a video way back when. It was a Haitian soup jumu video, right? I don't know about y'all. I read YouTube comments. That was our job. We used to read through anyone. When I tell y'all, I got lit up in these comments. People were like, Drew was a fake Haitian. He was probably one of the people that was calling people African booty scratchers. Drew ain't never have to walk, Like, people was writing. So,
for sure.
me and my homies at the time, I was telling them this, they was laughing. I was like, you know what? I'm about to do like a Jimmy Kimmel mean tweets. So I literally screenshot like 5 of them. I posted them on my Instagram stories, and I just had a bunch of faces on it, like, you know what I mean? And I just went through. When I was getting DMs from next door neighbors, was like, Drew, they wasn't with you when your house smelled like fish because your mom was doing a fish fry in the backyard. They wasn't with you when you had the goats running through. So it was twofold, right? On one side of that, I could have felt some type of way, been mad, and do all this. But at the other side of that, I was happy because there were people who literally, it was 20 comments deep. Yeah, he don't know what his struggle was when you had not clothes. And people were using me as a way to talk about the issues that they went through in their respective high school, elementary journeys. So it wasn't even about me. It wasn't about me being a fake Haitian. It was how much you had to suppress your identity growing up. And I was like, I'm not even mad at that. So I poked fun at it because I thought that was really interesting, that they needed that thing to grab, and other people hopped onto that. Because it's never about what people say. It's about why they're saying it, what point in time they were in that situation.
Yeah.
So the fact that literally it was 3 or 4 comments that were 20 comments deep, are talking about how things they went through. And I was like, okay, I fostered that community. It's not about me. I don't even care. And then on the flip side with my personal thing, going back to community again, people that knew me growing up, knew that I was in LA, knew I was doing videos. They're now like, Drew, they don't even know. I remember when you was this. They was giving me back memories. And it was times that I even forgot about, like,
that's
that
a
you
crazy
was right.
moment.
I remember, like, literally, my mom, like, every year, it's called the Lamont song, like a harvest right around Father's Day. Every church has it, like, depending on what denomination and stuff. My mom was a head chef, so for 2 days straight, she would be cooking fish in our kitchen. I remember going to school Thursday, Friday, smelling like fish. Kids was sitting away from me. People was doing this, like, it was crazy, and they didn't. So people was hitting me up like, yo, I remember you smell like fish because your mom was cooking. And like my friend's mom, I remember my friend's mom, we was playing Madden. She literally came in with some Lysol. She's like, I'm sorry, Drew, but you got my house. Like, it was jokes. But that's the thing. Like, all these flashbacks, all these memories that we can now laugh back and look at. I'm looking at it like, yo, they don't need, if they only knew this journey that I went through. So internally, I was reminiscing with my family, but externally, it was fun that I was giving people those moments to connect within themselves. You know what I mean? So a lot of times you don't even know, your content might not hit how you want it to hit, but you don't understand that the connections and the network and the fostering that it's doing while other people are talking about you, quote unquote.
Yeah, the purpose that it truly can have. Like, and
you made a better soup jumu than me.
I mean, you know, I don't want to bring that up.
He did. It's okay though. It's okay.
Yeah, you got to cut that clip. I feel like the resounding thing that I'm hearing from all of you that, like, you realized, you know, are doing, whether intentionally or unintentionally, is that you're planting a seed that's going to, you know, grow a tree to provide shade that you might not ever see, you know. And I'll be honest, for me at first, I used to be like, nah, if I do this and don't nobody see, not for like credit, but to see like, this is what I'm here for. I want to help people. But really, when you start to see those touch points, like, I might not ever meet this person. I might not ever see them again. But like, you can tell that it can have that impact. And for me, that's what life is really about. You know, it's a book, Ishmael, I read, and it pretty much talked about levers and takers. Is you going to, you know, basically take whatever you need and can get from this world, or are you going to leave something? You know, and I mean, as we continue, I just want to thank each and every one of you for leaving everything you have and continuing to do so in your community. You know, before, as we start to get close to wrapping up, I want to ask, as far as like your industry, whether it's the one you directly work in, one you're aspiring to, you know, I feel like there's some entrepreneurial things going on in this group, along with the content creation or screenwriting and work that you all do. is there a way that you hope to influence the industry that you work in? Or, what things do you wish, just on a kind of like toot your own horn real quick, what are some things you wish that someone, whether a brand or person or group, knew about you? So really, how do you hope to influence your space over the next 5 to 10 years? And is there anything that you wish people knew about you? Whether it's don't come to me unless you got something that really is for me, and be prepared to get cussed out if it's wrong, Joyce. Or Tunji, it's like, if you're gonna come over here, you're gonna learn how to season and saute some vegetables. And that's his 2 S's. That's what he taught me. The 2 S's, you got to crank them. You season and saute, you feel me, your vegetables, and then you're good to go. Now, Morgan, I understand, since Morgan and I spent a New Year's together like 5 years ago at this point, we sat on my couch, broke as hell, sharing a 2 for $5 from Rallies, and we were just talking about everything we was gonna do. And the message has not changed. I said I was going to change people's lives. I'm going to buy a house in Cali. I'm going to make XYZ amount of money. And I done been past that. Morgan has passed a lot of the things that he told me he was going to do. But we always used to say, he said, I'm going to be the highest paid actor in Hollywood. He said this to me. We didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. But it hasn't changed. Andrew, you have talked about and evangelized how important being a girl dad is, and a Black young girl's father. And I've seen the initiatives and all the efforts that you've put forward, so just to kind of use that as maybe a catalyst, are there any ways that you hope to influence and inspire your industry? And if anything, what would you like folks to know about you and how you hope to, influence it anywhere, any small piece or, long form that you have for that? Take your time.
No, go ahead, Andrew. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. All good. Jumping on that, like, I think my biggest impact, it's really to just be like, I'm a product of my faith, and it's not to, fill out the Bible and get the amen snapping in the audience or nothing, but it's really to show that, like, I am literally at the cross of, I don't know how I got here, and I don't know what's going to happen next. I live on that intersection. I'm like, I got a tent pitched there. That's where I live. But in everything that's happened, whether it was being a young father and figuring out how to be a girl dad, to now being sitting on the board of a Black nonprofit foundation that only helps fathers, from, wanting to make content all my life. And just, I was a movie guy, I used to do action sequence in the backyard with my friends, to now my job is to make original content for brands. Like, I'm always, I feel like I live at that corner of like, yo, this is what I'm hoping, and this is what I'm praying, and then this is the things that end up happening and manifesting. I think that we always tell people don't give up. We always tell people you do what you want. We can always tell people, life is yours for the taking. But I think it's literally really about focusing on what, like, your thing. I love how we started this, like, how to be you, and everybody said the same thing, be authentically you. And I think once you start at being authentically you, you have authentic hopes and dreams. When you have authentic hopes and dreams, they're easier to chase. If I wanted to be like somebody else, I would constantly be in failure. My success will never be reached. But the fact that I'm like, yo, God, I used to do this in the backyard when nobody was looking. So now when I'm doing it on videos, when I'm doing it with 100,000 views, 1 million views, nothing's changing, because it was the same thing that I wished for and I prayed for. You know what I'm saying? When y'all was on the couch asking for those things, the message is the same, because you was being real back then. You know what I mean? And I just want people to know that being you is the first step to being everything else.
Thank you. That's perfect. Thank you so much. Tunji, you had something?
Yeah, a few things. One, I guess, really my obsession is Black men thriving. Like, that's my obsession, giving them practical tools. And it's, okay, this is a morning habit, mental, emotional, spiritual. What you do? Training since 2013. These are nutrition tips, season and saute. How do you make an easy meal that you go right, that is, you can eat? Creative expression. How do you get the creativity that connects, that you can turn into a pathway, a career? And then low lift, uplift. I think that's the core of who I said. You can have everything you want in this life if you help enough other people get what they want. Is my thinking. If I just bless enough people, if I scale what I've been blessed, everybody eats. Everybody eats. And that's what I really want people to underplace, with an obsession of blessing others, with an idea of, if everybody, no way I lose. So I'll say it this way, just for the practical piece. A young school in Atlanta, Georgia. He was my timekeeper for this workshop, and I was talking to him about, he wanted to make beats. And I was talking back and forth. I said, I got you. I'm gonna ask you to do something. If you do it, then we. He sent me his beats, and it was straight. But it's not enough to just have good beats. People want to see you have that work ability to grow, like to pay your dues. So I told him that community piece of line on social media and make content where you pick apart other people's beats, but not you say, I love how they did that. And this is what it made me feel. So they get to see, they get to the industry. You know how to make beats, the nuance, but you're not saying this is what I do. This you just show love. You're like, and if I would have recreated, if I would have added, I don't know. And I told him after the 30 days, now I'm gonna give you a connection with producers that I know. A house of, you have a platform, you have your social media content that it feels good on your page. You know what you're talking about. So all it shows is that, I guess to nutshell, I would love Black men to know they can connect with me, and I want to connect with them for us to find ways, whether you're 65 or 35 or 15 still in school, you can take to get better now. And you winning is us winning. There's no in between. You flourishing is us flourishing.
That's true. And I think just to like kind of round up our conversation with all that has been said here and shared, I want to urge anyone watching to understand that during this month, none of us are really looking for a grand giant statue. We're not looking for a major opportunity that wasn't there. We're really just looking for genuine interactions. Since we were young, each one of us here has had a conversation or been taught or been shared with how you have to move, how you have to act, how you have to approach these different systems. We've seen some great changes and great things, but at the same time, the way I'm walking down the street, whether I have a hoodie or a three-piece suit on, the way that I'm going to approach a brand or carry myself in said meeting. So I say that to say, as we go with this Black History Month and beyond, just think to yourself, is there any way, shape, or form which your culture or your personal life has been impacted positively, or you found something you loved that could have been created by one of the people of our amazing diaspora? And with that, the next opportunity that you have to interact with someone, please just move in with a genuine and insightful desire to learn, grow, and love. And I promise you will find and grow partnerships that are beyond your wildest dreams. I mean, you've heard it here. All of us just had a little idea, something we kind of wanted to do and something we were passionate about. It's turned into hundreds of thousands of followers, millions of dollars for brands, hopefully some millions for all of y'all soon too. I wouldn't be mind if we could all just 5 quick millionaires, we could meet up and have some brunch or something. But seriously, thank you all so much for your time. And I thank everyone who joined us today, and hope that you can go on from this learning something, and that you can go on from this feeling that you have a bit more insight and a bit more power in yourself. And you found someone that looks like you, who's, we're probably all our ancestors' wildest dreams. So again, just move looking to learn, love, and grow. And again, we thank you for the time and hope you all have a great Black History Month and rest of the year. I'll holla. And that's it.